Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
There is a big show coming up this weekend that we do have to get to, and that is NXT TakeOver Portland. We're going to start the show off by talking about it, and a couple other things that were happening on NXT at the moment that may play into this show. But first off, let's run down the card. The non-title match between Finn Bálor and Johnny Gargano.
Well, this is an interesting little match. You got two of the pillars of NXT facing off here. Because in the early days of NXT, as it was growing up, Finn Bálor came over and became the face of the company. Then when he left to go to the main show, in came Johnny Gargano. So who's better? That's the question they're trying to answer here.
And it's an interesting one, because I don't know if there's like a straight up answer. Obviously, as you say, there's sort of two different eras of NXT, I guess. You know, yeah. Finn Bálor in that sort of old school original Sammy, Kevin, Finn, Samoa Joe era, and now Johnny Gargano in the sort of DIY Undisputed Era kind of era.
I think because Gargano has proven that he can take a loss and it not hurt him. And Balor's still relatively unscathed in his heel turn here. I don't think he can afford the loss.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Bálor winning here.
I think the question really comes down to, you know, although it's not, these are quite high-profile guys, I feel like the winner of this is going to move into a high-profile feud, potentially for some form of title. And so the question is, you know, who do you see going for it next? And Finn Bálor versus Keith Lee could work out.
I would definitely be down for that. That'd be a very interesting match.
But we will move on to the next match. The only other non-title match on the show. It is a street fight between Tegan Nox and my girl Dakota Kai.
Oof. This is a tough match.
It's gonna be brutal.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of kicks.
Been waiting for the two members of Team Kick to implode. And yeah, someone's gonna get their head knocked off.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Dakota because I think because of the women's championship, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Mm-hmm. I think whoever wins that match after they're done with Charlotte will be needing a heel to face them. Mm-hmm. So, and Dakota Kai is one of the bigger heels right now in the women's division down there in NXT, considering Io Shirai is injured.
Yeah. At the moment, that women's division it's definitely in a state of flux. You know, obviously, you said we'll talk about the women's title. I'm going to merge these things together, right? We got Kai and Nox on sort of the undercard. We got Ripley versus Belair for the women's title. We know that Charlotte's challenging the NXT Women's Champion at WrestleMania, be it Ripley, be it Belair, be it both in a triple threat. We know Shayna Baszler, who was the big sort of final boss of NXT's women's division, is going up over to Raw based on actions to take on Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And so there's this sort of shift at the moment where I don't think the title's going to change hands before WrestleMania, as you say, once they're finished with Charlotte. But then afterwards, it's sort of fair game to everybody in the division.
Yeah, they need to start getting somebody ready to chase down whoever the NXT champion is after WrestleMania is over. Even if that turns out to be Charlotte.
Yeah, it seemed as though, you know, we were definitely building the last undercard feud, which was Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, and we were trying to build up both of those women to go after the titles, but obviously Io's popped out injured and Candice is sort of floating at the moment, so hopefully this is the feud with Kai and Nox. You know, you can drag this out. I don't think it'll be finished at Portland. If I recall, Nox already picked up a win on NXT. I imagine Kai picks up the win in Portland. Maybe we get a third one at the one just before WrestleMania. and then we can sort of stall it out a little bit more so they can move on straight from this feud into a title feud.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, your girl's going to get a win on TakeOver.
Yeah. Never going to bet against that, so it's fine. I will take the prediction loss to bet on her. We'll talk about the Women's Championship because I sort of rolled it on in there. Rhea Ripley will be defending against Bianca Belair with Charlotte looming up on the hill watching over this match.
This should be an amazing match. I can't wait to see it. I feel bad for Belair. She's ready. She deserves a title reign. Unfortunately, she's run into a situation where she's facing a champion who's only had the title a couple months and has a bigger fish to fry than her. So, as much as I'd like to see Bianca win here, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I think she's going to end up being kind of like the Becky of this particular era. Good and up there in the upper echelon, but never actually winning the title before moving on to the main roster.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a case of unfortunate timing for her. I think if Charlotte hadn't been looming over it, and maybe this Ripley Belair feud was going to go on for a couple more shows, so Ripley gets a longer title reign, I definitely see Belair picking up the title. But as you say, with Charlotte there, the best I can see is a triple threat, which I wouldn't be mad at personally. But it does sort of, I guess, muddy up, the whole. You've got the NXT Women's Champion, you've got the Royal Rumble winner, and then you've got someone who maybe there was a dirty finish to their title match. I feel like WWE wants to go into it clean 1v1.
Yeah, I think it will mean more for Rhea if she's able to conquer the 10-time women's champion if it's a singles match versus a triple threat.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about singles matches for the championships, we've got the North American title. It's on the line. Keith Lee gonna be defending it against Dominik the Hozovic.
This will be match of the night. This will be insane. These two big men are going to bring it, and there may not be a building left down afterwards in order for them to do the rest of the card. That said, I think it's too early in Keith Lee's reign for him to lose the title. I mean, he's only had it, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah.
But this should definitely elevate his title reign with a great match. And we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, as much as I'd love Dominik to win, I don't know what it is about Dominik. I really like him. I think you're right. I think the North American Championship, we've just changed hands. This one's a bit of a friendly between the two. The odds-on favour is that Keith Lee's going to walk out, especially with how high they've been treating him recently with Survivor Series and Rumble stuff. So, I think the ball is firmly in Lee's court. We've also got the NXT Tag Team Championships. The Undisputed Era will be defending those against the winner of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the Broserweights.
This is what we've been waiting for. And I've been enjoying the stuff that the Broserweights have been doing on NXT. I think we established, we believe that the Undisputed Era is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It began with Roderick Strong losing the tag titles, but that wouldn't really mean that much because technically he was just the fourth guy.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it really starts to fall apart. And that's because the Bruiserweights are going to be taking the tag titles from them.
And at that point, everything just comes crumbling down.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Well, we've only got one match left on the card. Let's just mention it now. Adam Cole will be defending the NXT Championship against Tommaso Ciampa. Is it coming crumbling down this time, or is it going to come crumbling down later?
Not for Adam Cole, yet.
He holds on to it one more event?
Yeah, one more event. I'm not sure who, because there's one person who should be the guy that takes the title off of Adam Cole.
Okay.
And he came back last week. So I'm sorry, Ciampa, but it's not your night.
Yeah. I'm looking at the results from NXT that just aired today, and I see a lovely little match here as the main event of the show, and it's Adam Cole defeating Kushida.
But yeah, I think by hook or crook, Cole retains somehow, some way, just so that he can hold the title until Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he'll drop the title to Dream, who will then be the final nail in the coffin of the Undisputed Era.
That's fair. Obviously, at the moment, that's why I said we'll talk about some stuff that happened on NXT. Dream has his sights set on Roderick Strong, but that might just be poking at the weak link, the loose end, or the loose thread in the Undisputed Era, ready to pull them apart. Take the low-hanging fruit. I'm running out of metaphors.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, intended to kind of begin the unraveling of the Undisputed Era. You take out Strong, and then you have the tag team champions fall. They start to doubt themselves. They start doubting the Union, and then they all three of them then suddenly realize the Undisputed Era's whole purpose was for Adam Cole to be NXT champion. Nothing else. They just benefited from it. And that shatters the Undisputed Era, at least in NXT. They could still do something in the main roster afterwards. But at least as far as NXT will be concerned, they'll be done.
Any last thoughts about NXT TakeOver Portland or a wild conspiracy theory you want to throw out there?
I think we'll see a debut. I don't know who, but I think we'll see. I think we'll see one of those famous in the crowd shots.
Gotcha.
Like maybe of Killer Cross.
Is that even a bold choice at this point? There's always an in the crowd shot, like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, but I think it'll be. I think that's where they'll introduce like somebody like Killer Cross.
Gotcha.
To the crowd.
Fair enough. Well, we're about halfway through the show, and that means we're going to go into our entrance theme of the week. And this week, Josh has selected none other than Eddie Guerrero's theme, so we will be playing that for you now. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh, and we've finished with NXT and their TakeOver show this weekend, and we are now moving on to Raw and SmackDown. We know now that this Reigns and Corbin feud that we could have sworn was finally finished is anything but.
Again, stalling out. Kind of in a holding pattern because of certain pay-per-views and stuff. And we got to get to Elimination Chamber. Once we get there, everything diverges.
Yeah, we're just a little bit unlucky at the moment that, the end of February is quite a busy time. And quite a few title matches booked and everything. So, as you say, Elimination Chamber, it's about a week after this sort of busy period. And I think that is finally where Reigns and Corbin might diverge their paths, especially if we're heading towards the path I believe we're heading. And that path, let's talk about it now. Goldberg returns to SmackDown, lays the challenge down. He wants the Fiend later in February.
Not really a big surprise.
Kind of expected, yeah. But now the question comes down to, Do you do Fiend versus Reigns? Or do you do Goldberg versus Reigns?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, there would be less backlash of having Reigns being the one to take down the Fiend versus because there's going to be major backlash when that occurs, if that was to occur.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had Reigns take down Goldberg, who took down the Fiend, it's still going to be hated, but I don't think it'll be hated as much.
Yeah, it really does come down to what would the outcome of the WrestleMania match be. You know, if the outcome would be the Fiend holding the belt through WrestleMania, then obviously he wins later in February. If the outcome is Roman Reigns holding the belt after WrestleMania, I could honestly see it going both ways. I think on the card list, Goldberg versus Reigns is probably a bigger match. I don't know how you get around the fact about this whole Fiend being completely unbeatable and then Goldberg beats him. I feel like there's still going to be a fair chunk of backlash for that. Obviously, Goldberg has sort of established himself as a sort of monstery guy, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, this is the same guy that beat Brock Lesnar in 2 minutes.
Mm.
That's how they explain it.
Yeah, it's one that sort of storyline-wise, it would make sense. I guess I'd find it a little disappointing if after all this, Bray Wyatt's constantly like on the cusp and then just doesn't quite make it to WrestleMania as champion to defend. Like, even if he loses against Reigns at WrestleMania, I don't care. I feel like just making it there as champion.
Do I do it?
Don't do it.
I want to point out he was WWE champion at WrestleMania 32.
Yeah, but I forget that one because it was disappointing. I promise not to forget this one.
So yeah, you were talking like he never made it to WrestleMania as champion. I was pointing out that he did.
Yeah, no, he won at Elimination Chamber, yeah, but I more mean like he had that string of injuries, then we had to rebuild. He comes up with this brand new gimmick. It's built up for ages. He takes so many weapon shots from Seth. He's had brutal matches with everybody else. There's this sort of mythos surrounding him. And I don't know, I feel like if the ending to the mythos or the ending of this sort of undefeatedness is you lose to Reigns at WrestleMania, I would be happier with that ending than losing to Goldberg at the end of February. I'd rather the Fiend lose the title at WrestleMania to Reigns than lose it at No Way Out or whatever the next show is afterwards, Payback or something like that. I just feel like losing it at WrestleMania, like, no respect lost there.
Yeah, but of course we're assuming Reigns is going to be the opponent for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania.
Maybe it's Bobby Roode.
That's not necessarily a given.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to mention this quote-unquote leaked graphic for the Elimination Chamber match. I'm still not fully behind it. I don't know. Something never looks right with these things, and they always come out wrong or plans change. But at the moment, as per this graphic, if I believe it wholeheartedly, it's Reigns, Strowman, Nakamura, Corbin, Bryan, and Bobby Roode out of nowhere in a chamber match for the number one contendership. And out of that list, I'm going to give it to Reigns.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's the 6, then yeah, it's got to be Reigns. But I think they've got to throw in somebody in there that gives them a better chance at facing, that you'd be interested in seeing face the Fiend.
I think Roode swaps out before the final match is announced.
Yeah.
I think it puts the Corbin and Reigns feud in the chamber. It puts the Intercontinental Championship feud in the chamber. It puts Daniel Bryan going for redemption to try and get one more shot at him in the chamber. That 6th guy, I feel like Bobby Roode was just put in there as a placeholder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends. I think it really would depend on maybe the outcome of the SmackDown Tag Team titles match at later on in the month.
Are you talking about the New Day versus Morrison and Miz?
Yes. Because I could easily see one of them sliding into that match.
The Miz, definitely my favorite.
Actually, I was going to go with Big E.
Yeah, you're always talking about Big E, I know.
It'd be like Kofi would say to him, I had my moment last year, now it's your turn. And Big E would slide into that match. He probably wouldn't win it, but it would be a major moment for him. And it would give you a question as whether Reigns was going to win or not. Because maybe they would go with Big E.
I'm quickly scrolling through the SmackDown roster, and the only other option I see here to do that sort of question mark over Reigns' winning would be Sheamus.
Yeah, but Sheamus is kind of a heel right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's the kind of the problem.
Nah, he's still fine. He's one of my boys. I can put him in wherever I want. To be fair, he'll probably just be beating Shorty G up for the next, year. But yeah, I don't think Rude will find his way into that match. Even if this graphic's completely and utterly fake, I think at least 3 or 4 of those guys will probably find their way into the chamber. You know, it is the top talents on SmackDown for the most part, so I think it's not that insane of a prediction to see where the chamber match is going to be heading. Yep.
But I love the fact that would be a number 1 contender match in the chamber.
100%.
That's what I feel like an Elimination Chamber should be. It should be, alright, we have a Rumble winner. That match is already decided. Let's decide somebody for the other championship.
Yeah, that's always been my sort of favorite ways to do it. As it's like, you got 2 chances. You either got to make it through 29 other men, or you got to be one of the 6 hopefuls in the chamber.
And you got to survive a structure that's built to destroy you.
But let's wait and see for the official announcement of that chamber match, just quite what we're going to see. What time are we at? 26 minutes. We got a little bit more time. I want to talk about the 24/7 championship just in passing, because we had a title change this week on Raw. Mojo Rawley, he was standing tall. He'd already passed the belt back and forth with R-Truth a billion times. He felt really safe with his linebacker, offensive, or whatever football position he said Riddick Moss was, until he got slammed by him, and Riddick Moss runs off with the 24/7 title.
That just sounds so hilarious. What can you say?
We knew that betrayal was coming.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta remember, we saw Carmella with R-Truth forever, and then she turned on him. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah. And the last sort of segmenty piece I want to talk about before we run out of time is MVP is hosting the VIP lounge, and then Drew McIntyre comes out as his guest and shows what I believe is a shining example of Drew McIntyre's personality coming out.
Yeah. Definitely, I think they're setting the stage for your boy to possibly be the man.
He's been given a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. The Chosen One's prophecy may finally be fulfilled.
And I'm going to rewind. I'm going to go find that show when Drew McIntyre re-debuted on NXT. When Grady was screaming and yelling on that show about how awesome it is that Drew McIntyre is back. I'm going to play that clip back as soon as Drew wins the title at WrestleMania.
By the way, should we maybe talk about Shayna Baszler's debut on the Raw?
That's a good point. Squish her in. She bit Becky Lynch's neck.
Yep, got blood and everything. But yeah, she's out for blood. She got the blood. And she wants the title.
You only wanted to talk about it for that joke, didn't you?
No. That was just a off the spur thing with you mentioning neck bite.
Yeah, obviously where we'd seen it going, Shayna Becky, just solidifying that is the direction that the Raw Women's title is going to head in. And that's going to give us at least 2 massive headline women's matches for championships. Don't quite know about the SmackDown Women's title, what's going to be happening with that just yet. Bayley obviously been dealing with Carmella. There's a bit of Naomi floating around. Maybe Sasha comes back. So there's options for Bayley, but she's not as set in stone, I think, as these other 4. But yeah, Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch, 1-on-1, Raw Women's title, WrestleMania. Everybody can see that in the horizon.
Yep.
Is there anything else or any other puns that you would like to make before the show is over?
No.
Alright, well, it's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Radio, Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio, and we'll see you next week with the results from NXT TakeOver.